All right, I'm back with another recording. It is almost 7 at night now, and we're going back to the gold mine so that we can get the last drop needed from the gold mine, which is from the gigantic ant, which has a 4 in 128 chance of dropping a double burger. Oh yeah, I did some stuff off camera. I ate the fresh egg, which I got from the Mad Duck, and then I also sold the chicken, which I got from the thirsty coil snake earlier. Right, we just have to get to the area where I'll be grinding the gigantic ants. Hold on. I can close the door. Ow. My bad, guys. My brother walked in and he just didn't close the door for some reason. Wait, hold up. I'm gonna edge my way around. Yeah, it's not gonna work. He's too fast. See, what I was trying to do was walk super slowly to the point where he won't be able to catch up to me. But nope, he's just way too fast. And Jeff already got poisoned. Dude, I don't know what has been going on with the gold mine today, but for some reason, every time I fight a coil snake or a gigantic ant, Jeff is always the one that gets poisoned. Why? Why is it always that he's the one that gets poisoned? Right, the grinding spot is somewhere over here. What I'm trying to do is make sure no enemies spawn down there so that I can get the present. Because I just really want the present, okay? I just really want it. Wait, hold on, my switch looks off. Dude, it happens every time I'm trying to record. Like, for some reason, everything just looks so unaligned, if that's even a word. Like, I have to put my switch in a certain position so that it shows the whole screen on my camera. And then I also have to put my phone, which I'm recording on, at a certain position and angle so that it gets almost the whole screen. I say almost the whole screen because the Switch 2 screen is huge. Like, it is really big. And I know it's really big too because I tried to hold my regular Switch, which I've had for years now, like a few months ago, and that thing seems so small. You know what? Fine. I'm I'm fine with fighting just one enemy. Because clearly trying to get no enemies to spawn in this room does not want to work for some reason. And that's exactly why the exterminator spray is useful. And no, that does not count towards the encounters. A super bomb. Oh yeah, a while ago I decided to stock up on some food. But since I didn't really encounter any enemies, yeah, it just makes me look like I bought way too much food. Alright, we have to make... Oh yeah, I was getting ready to say that too. I was gonna say we have to make sure a gigantic ant is singled out down there. Alright, there's no enemies in this pocket besides this gigantic ant, so he's automatically singled out. And we have the save state. Now, since it is a 4 in 128 chance, that means it is a low drop rate, so this might take a while to do. But other than that, let's start grinding. And if you guys don't know, the only way you can get exterminator spray in this game is from an enemy called the Mad Taxi, which has a 1 in 128 chance of dropping the exterminator spray. Let me repeat that. If you want the exterminator spray, the only way to get it through the game is that you have to rely on luck when fighting a Mad Taxi and pray that it drops the exterminator spray. Oh, you monkey. You monkey. See, it's a good thing I got the exterminator spray earlier in the challenge. And it's pretty useful here because the exterminator spray does a ton of damage to bug enemies specifically. And since the gigantic ant is a bug enemy, obviously it's going to do a lot of damage to it. Which really helps out because the gigantic ant has a lot of defense. And they take a lot of hits to go down. So the exterminator spray is pretty useful here. But then again, you don't need the exterminator spray to beat the game. Like, yeah, it would be tougher to fight bug enemies without the exterminator spray, but you don't need it to beat the game. Like, it's entirely optional. It's a good thing that the exterminator spray is an infinite use item. So yeah, it's not like other spray items, like defense spray and insecticide spray, where once you use it, it's gone forever, and you have to get a new one. Like, no, once you have the exterminator spray, you can use it as many times as you want. because it never goes away once you use it. And once we get the drop from the gigantic ant, the next objective is to kill the last guardian digger. And then after that, the gold mine will be complete. You know, it's honestly crazy that so far this is the only location of the game that I've actually managed to do in one day. Because most of the other locations have taken me 2 to 3 days to complete. And the reason why we can't fight all 5 of the guardian diggers and then start grinding for the drops is because once you defeat the final guardian digger, all of the enemies in the gold mine will never spawn ever again, which means permanently locking myself out of getting these drops. So if you want to do this challenge, make sure you grind for the drops before fighting the final guardian digger, because otherwise you will fail the challenge. Oh yeah, and surprise, surprise, the next location where we have to get drops from, we also have to make sure not to fight the boss before grinding for the drops. Because one of those enemies in the next location is the only place you can find that enemy. Meaning, once I beat the boss in the next location and I don't grind for the drops, that enemy is permanently gone. So yeah, if you're doing this challenge, you really gotta make sure to not fight certain bosses or progress the story at certain points before grinding some drops. Like, take the first location of the game, for example. The second half of the drops from the first location of the game, which is OneNet, you have to make sure that before you fight the boss, you have to get all the drops from the second half of the enemies in OneNet, because otherwise you can't get those drops ever again. And yet there are some locations in this game where the enemies are permanent, assuming you don't go to the cliff that time forgot to fight Gygus at the end of the game. Like if you really think about it, all of the enemies, you have to make sure you get their drop before fighting the final boss. But what I include as a permanent location in the game, that's assuming you don't go fight Gygus. Because once you go to the cliff that time forgot, you can't go back ever. And then when you get to the final location of the game where Gygus is, you still have to make sure you get all the drops before fighting Gygus. Because once you fight Gygus and he's dead, every enemy in the game is just gone. Because, you know, it makes sense. Gygus is the one that controls the enemies. Besides his minions, like the robots and aliens you fight in the game. Those guys are just commanded by Gygus. But let's take the gigantic ant, for example, right here. He's under Gygus's control. So any enemy that's not a robot or alien, not including the sentry robot, because those are not one of Gygus's minions, they only fight you because of Gygus's evil influence. He controls everything. Because, you know, EarthBound is a part of the same series where the first enemy you fight of the series is a freaking lamp. No, I'm not joking. The first enemy of the series that you fight is a lamp. But yeah, all the permanent locations is just assuming that you don't go fight Gygus. And I haven't really come up with a word for this type of location yet. But enemies that spawn permanently in a location, but never spawn ever again under certain conditions, like fighting a boss or progressing a story. The gold mine is an example of this. And then there's a type of location that I like to call temporary, where once you fight the enemy in that location, the enemy never spawns ever again, no matter what. You can only fight it once, and then it's just gone. Oh, he just killed Jeff with a smash hit. And then Ness killed the gigantic ant with the smash hit. Dude, that is crazy. The gigantic ant gets a smash hit on Jeff, which kills him. And then Ness is like, oh, heck nah. You don't mess with my friends. And he gets a smash hit on the gigantic ant and saves Jeff from death. And the temporary example, let's take the Monotoli building from chapter 4, which is the chapter I'm in. And that's a location we're gonna have to do later in the challenge. There's enemies in the Monotoli building called sentry robots, and once you kill one of the sentry robots, they never spawn ever again. And there's only 5 of them in the Monotoli building. So because of that, I had to use this strategy to get their drop when I did this challenge for the first time, where I had a save state that put me in the room right before the sentry robots will be starting to attack you. And I used resets. And resets is what I'm doing right now to get most of these drops. You know, having a save state and then opening up the menu to manipulate the RNG. And then if I don't get the drop, reload the save state and then press B again. And then try to fight the enemy to see if I get the drop. And it would just, and the amount of times I press B to open and close the menu would increase by 1 every time I didn't get the drop. So on the first encounter with an enemy, don't press B. Then on the second one, I would press B once. The third encounter, I would press B twice. And then so on and so forth. And it only took me 14 resets to get the sentry robots drop. But you know, since then, I did find a faster way to use the resets, which is what I'm doing now. You know, instead of reloading the save state and pressing B up to the number where I was originally at, like say if I'm on attempt number, I don't know, 35, I would reload my save state and I would press B 35 times. No, that would take up too much time. The faster way, it starts off the exact same way as the slower method. Approach a singled out enemy, then put it in a save state. Then encounter the enemy, fight it, and see if you get the drop. If you don't get the drop, reload the save state, and then press B, which manipulates the RNG, because for some reason opening up menus manipulates the RNG in this game. Oh, yes. I just lost my words. There it is, the double burger. We got it. That's the last drop in the gold mine. Alright, I'm gonna give this to Paula. Oh yeah, right, her inventory's full. Well, that sucks. I guess Ness will just keep the double burger. But yeah, as I was saying, while you're in the menu, put that in a save state. And then encounter the enemy again. And then just keep putting the menu in a save state. Yeah. Obviously, doing that method of resetting is way faster than what I did the first time I did this challenge. Alright, all that's left is the final Guardian Digger. And then once we kill them, the gold mine will be done. smash hit. Bro, leave me alone. You know what? I'm not doing that. We're gonna use this thing called Snot. See guys, I told you Snot is an incredibly useful part of this challenge. That's how I single enemies out. I use Snot. And if you guys didn't watch the first day of this challenge, Snot stands for the scrolling nullification and obliteration technique. And basically how you use Snot is that you use the sides of your screen. Because for whatever reason, the sides of the screen determines how enemies spawn. So if you want to single out your target, you have to like walk back and forth to try and despawn the enemies you don't want while keeping the enemy you do want. So yeah, Snot's incredibly useful. Alright, the final Guardian Digger. That was anticlimactic. But now that the final Guardian Digger is dead, all the enemies in the gold mine will never spawn ever again. And the gold mine's complete. We got all the drops. And now the next objective of the game is that we have to pay off the Runaway 5's debt. You know, it's funny how it's called a gold mine, yet there's no gold. And we have to pay off the Runaway 5's debt by giving their debt collector a diamond. Alright, we gotta talk to this guy. And now we have to walk back to Foreside. You know, this part is honestly stupid. Like, we go inside a place called the gold mine, yet there's no gold to be found, and yet we pay off the Runaway 5's debt with a diamond, which shouldn't be possible because diamonds are not found that high above ground. Like, dude, I play Minecraft. Which is supposed to be a realistic game, but that game is also unrealistic too. I mean, come on, you can't just find coal anywhere. Like, seriously. I play Minecraft, and even I know diamonds are not found that high above ground. You know how insanely deep you have to be in order for diamonds to just form. Alright, we're back in Foreside. We gotta go to the Topola Theater. Then we gotta go in this room. And we give their debt collector a diamond. So yeah, we give them the diamond. And the Runaway Five's debt has been cleared again. And then we have to go see the Runaway Five's final show. So yeah, this is the last banger from the Runaway Five. We gotta put the controller down so that we can listen to the banger. Right, that's their final show. Alright, now we're gonna go to the hotel so that we can save the game. Oh wait, I'm stupid. Alright, that is it for this recording. That's honestly surprising that I managed to do all the drops in the gold mine within one day. Because for some reason, I just take long breaks in between these so-called streams. But I'm probably not gonna do any more tonight because I'm kind of at my limit. So tomorrow we'll get started on the next location of chapter 4.